So Trump made what seemed to be some huge news today. And here's the big news, and I'm going to play it for you, so get to it. Here we go.
Social media giants like Twitter receive an unprecedented liability shield based on the theory that they're a neutral platform, which they're not an editor with a viewpoint. My executive order calls for new regulations under Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act to make it that social media companies that engage in censoring or any political conduct will not be able to keep their liability shield. That's a big deal. They have a shield. They can do what they want. They have a shield. They're not going to have that shield.
What? So what is he saying, Jimmy? Okay. So you know how if you put something in a book and someone publishes your book and the thing in it is untrue, you can sue that publisher. So that's why when I wrote a book, we had to hire a lawyer, or the book publisher did, and they went through my book, and every time there was a problem, they had to fact check it and say, could this leave us open to being sued? And so I recorded those conversations. They're hilarious. But anyway, you're calling Chris Matthews an alcoholic. Is that, anyways? So I'm like, no, I'm calling him comedically an alcoholic. Not really. So anyway, so social media like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, if somebody posts something on Facebook and it's unfactual, you can't sue Facebook because they're not publishing that. They're just providing a platform for instance, if someone puts something in a book that's unfactual, defamatory, and illegal, you can't sue the bookstore that sells that book. You can sue the publisher of the book, but you can't sue the bookstore. And so Facebook and Twitter and YouTube are like the bookstore. We're not actually publishing these things. We're just building the platform for you to come get it, like a bookstore would. And so this special thing that's what he's saying. They have a shield, meaning they're allowed to actually go ahead and act like an editor. They're actually allowed to go and act like a publisher because they get to take shit down. Just like when Facebook fake fact-checked the Jimmy Dore show, and they were full of inaccuracies and biases themselves, which they always are. They were allowed to do that because they have this exemption from this law. That's the shield. They're like, yeah, even though you are acting as a publisher, we're not going to treat you like one. We're still going to treat you like a bookstore, even though you can censor stuff. So, if you're going to take on the responsibility of being a censor, then you should be able to be sued if something goes up on your site. That's untrue. If you're going to you're just going to selectively censor. Do you see the slippery slope? Because that is a slippery slope. So what Trump just did there was take away that shield. So either you can act like you're a bookstore and you don't get to censor, or you censor and then people get to sue you because you're a publisher. Because now you're acting like a publisher. And that's what. So where does this all come from? Well, first of all, let's get the rest of his thing.
My executive order further instructs the federal.
So, for instance, what he's saying is that if Facebook censored us again, like they did, we could sue them. Not only for that, but we could sue them if we found something else that was incorrect, unfactual, and defamatory, or whatever, and in any Facebook post anywhere. Anyone's Facebook post, if we found something that was inaccurate, unfactual, and defamatory in a legally actionable way, we could then sue them as if they're a publisher. So that's what he's trying to say he's doing. He's making that available right now. Now, the real way he should do this, I mean, I'm happy with this too. Because I don't want I don't think Twitter or Facebook or Google or YouTube should be censoring anybody. We have a printing press. That's what these things are. They're the printing press. You can't sue a printing press. And so everybody gets to have a printing press. And if someone prints something, meaning if somebody puts something up on Twitter or YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or anywhere that is legally actionable, then you have to take that legal action. Just like the old days. If somebody printed something defamatory in your newspaper, they don't take down the newspaper. You have to sue them in court. The court gets to hear it before they do anything. You have a court case before anything happens. That's the normal way. Well, now YouTube and Facebook and Twitter, they just said, no, we're just going to go fuck that. Your rights and fuck that free speech and all that. We're just going to go ahead and start censoring people. Well, Trump says, well, if you do, you're going to be we're taking away your protections from being sued. That's what Trump is saying. The real way he should have did it was did an antitrust law. So he doesn't need the Congress to help him do that. From what I remember reading in Thomas Frank's book, Listen Liberal, about all the stuff Barack Obama could have did, even with a Republican Congress. And one of them is enforce antitrust legislation. And that's, he could break up Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff. So here's where we go.
Commission FTC to prohibit social media companies from engaging in any deceptive acts or practices affecting commerce. This authority resides in Section 5 of the Federal Trade Commission Act. I think you know it pretty well. Most of you know it very well.
You know it quite well.
You know it quite well, right?
All the different wells.
Additionally, I'm directing the Attorney General to work cooperatively with the states. He's going to be working very much and very closely in cooperation with the states to enforce their own laws against such deceptive business practices. The states have broad and powerful authority to regulate in this arena, and they'll be doing it also, and we encourage them to do it if they see exactly as we've been seeing. It's what they're doing is tantamount to monopoly, you can say. It's tantamount to taking over the airwaves.
So then break them up.
Can't let it happen. Otherwise, we're not going to have a democracy. We're not going to have anything to do with a republic. Finally, I'm directing my administration to develop policies and procedures to ensure taxpayer dollars are not going in any social media company that repress free speech.
So where does this all come from? So Trump, do you remember Trump was tweeting stuff out about Joe Scarborough? Mm-hmm. He was saying a lot of interest. So here's a story from this guy. Thomas Paine says, evidence shows foul play likely in Scarborough aids suspicious death in his congressional office, and links to a story. Trump retweets it, says a lot of interest in this story about psycho Joe Scarborough.
You know that made him go psycho, right?
This is funny. A lot of interest in this story about psycho Joe Scarborough. So a young marathon runner just happened to faint in his office, hit her head on his desk, and die? I would think there's a lot more to this story than that. An affair?
No, he drove Mika crazy.
Oh, my God.
I thought they were all good friends once upon a time.
They were. What about the so-called investigation? Read the story. So he's tweeting out stuff like that. The opening of a cold case against psycho Joe Scarborough was not a Donald Trump original thought. This has been going on for years, long before I joined the chorus. In 2016, when Joe and his wacky future ex-wife...
Oh, my God. Wacky Mika.
And his wacky future ex-wife, Mika.
Future ex-wife.
Would endlessly interview me. I would always be thinking about whether or not Joe could have done such a horrible thing. Maybe, maybe not. But I find Joe to be a total nut job, and I knew him well, far better than most. So many unanswered and obvious questions, but I won't bring them up now. Law enforcement eventually will? Question mark. Cycle Joe is rattled. Not only is his bad ratings, but all the things and facts that are coming out on the internet about his opening a cold case. He knows what is happening. So Trump, after 4 straight years of Psycho Joe and Wacky Mika pushing at evidence, how hard did they Russiagate? Were they hard Russiagators? I don't know. But the entire MSNBC was one big Russiagate organization. After them lying nonstop at the top of their lungs, doing an evidence-free conspiracy theory, red baiting the president of the United States and anybody who was their political enemy. Just complete evidence, fact-free assertions left and right, and accusations of the highest order. The most misleading of information was posted on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google, to every goddamn news organization ubiquitously reported an evidence-free conspiracy theory. And so now he's doing it back to them. They can't take it. And Mike has had a meltdown on MSNBC. Oh my God. They should take Twitter. I saw the headlines. I didn't read. You got to take Twitter away from Donald Trump. Let's kick Donald Trump off Twitter. Right, that thing. You remember that?
But wasn't Kamala Harris really supporting that?
Was she on that? I think you're right. So that's their 10,000 people in the line for groceries. They want to get Donald Trump off Twitter. That's their main.
I mean, this is quite a turn, Jimmy. I'm looking at a headline from CNN Business in 2016. The title says, Joe Scarborough, Donald Trump friendship, increasing source of discomfort at NBC.
So
time has changed.
So he starts doing back to MSNBC what they've been doing to him. And so they complained so loudly that Twitter finally started to censor Trump's tweets. They started to pull here. So they didn't do anything about the Scarborough tweets. Twitter leaves those up. Twitter comes after this tweet. He tweeted, "There is no way, zero, that mail-in ballots will be anything less than substantially fraudulent. Mailboxes will be robbed, ballots will be forged, and even illegally printed out and fraudulently signed. The governor of California is sending ballots to millions of people." So he's against this, right? So he tweets this out. He has another tweet underneath it about it too. First of all, he's on solid ground. I mean, they're So this is from the New York Times. Error and fraud at issue in absentee voting rises. An absentee ballot in Florida, almost 2% of mail-in ballots are rejected, double the rate for in-person voting. So it's not completely baseless. There's a base. Here's another one. This is from Real Clear Politics, and the date on this was April 24th, 2020. So a month ago, this was a story. It says 28 million mail-in ballots went missing in the last 4 elections. So that's not so. Somehow, for some reason, Twitter was angry that he was calling Joe Scarborough a psycho, and asking questions about what happened to the death of the person that worked in his office, which lots of people have said it has been suspicious since it happened.
It should be. Somebody dies in your office. It should be suspicious.
They hit her. She hit her head. Anyway, yeah, it sounds suspicious. Anyway, so this is what Twitter did to it. So Twitter goes to his tweets about it, and they attach to it, get the facts. So that's what Facebook did to our post about Iowa. They put a thing, hey, this is not accurate. If you share this, we're going to punish you. That's what they told people on Facebook if they shared our accurate post about the Iowa election. We were the ones lying. Not the Democratic Party, not the DNC, not the media, not the people who decide to stop the counting at 63%. But it was some guy in his garage talking about it. That's who they got to stop. And they put one of those. So that's what and so if you click on that, what does it take you to? Well, it takes you to this. Trump makes unsubstantiated claim. It says Trump makes unsubstantiated claim that mail-in ballots will lead to voter fraud. On Tuesday, President Trump made a series of claims about potential voter fraud after California Governor Gavin Newsom announced an effort to extend mail-in voting in California during the COVID-19 pandemic. These claims are unsubstantiated. I'll say it again. These claims are unsubstantiated. That's a hard word to say for me. unsubstantiated. According to who? According to who? CNN. That's what it says. That's what they're linking. They're linking to CNN. I got a list of shit CNN is wrong about. Starting with the Syria gas attacks. Second, starting with Jake Tapper saying Medicare for all costs more than the current system we have. That's Jake Tapper's fact check. That's Jake Tapper from CNN saying Medicare for all costs more than our current system. That's completely bullshit. That's who you're linking to? That's your fact checker? The people who got everything wrong about, I don't know, Iraq, Libya, Syria, Russiagate? Now you're going to start fact checking people? And who do you link to? The biggest liars on the frickin' planet? CNN? CNNs are rank propagandists. Do you see the nightmare world, the Orwellian world we're living in? So according to CNN, they said, experts say mail-in ballots are very rarely linked to voter fraud. Well, we just showed you. So then Twitter said this: we added a label to two real Donald Trump tweets about California's vote by mail plans as part of our efforts to enforce our civic integrity policy. We believe those tweets could confuse voters about what they need to do to receive a ballot and participate in the election process. Hey, thanks for the fact check, Twitter. Thanks for looking out for me. I'm so glad I have a nanny like Twitter to make sure I'm not confused about voting. To correct the President of the United States. Selectively. They selectively are correcting facts at Twitter. Selectively. And here's the bigger problem. Who watches the watchdog? Who's checking Twitter? They're the arbiter of free speech without a trial, without you presenting your evidence or case, without any hearing, without an adversarial process, nothing. Twitter just says, I know best about free speech. Remember, they have special protection from being sued, which Trump is getting rid of. So here's the problem with them fact-checking from the Wall Street Journal. There was an error.
Oh, no.
There was an error in Twitter's fact check of Trump's vote by mail tweets, underscoring the challenge social media platforms face trying to arbitrate truth. It was corrected after an elections professional notified the company and me about the mistake. I could show you what the mistake is, but who gives a shit? This is all ridiculous. This is a bunch of Karens on Twitter trying to stick a thumb in the president's eye because they don't like him. Every person on your platform lied and pushed a false evidence-free conspiracy theory about the president and all their political enemies without any repercussion or any fact-checking or any nothing. But now you're going to do it, and this is obviously politically motivated. And so Jack actually, so that's Jack. That's the guy who runs Twitter, the billionaire. By the way, he follows me. You see that?
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
Jack follows me. I do not follow Jack. I didn't know he followed me until today. I went to his page. So, Jack, since you follow me, hopefully you'll see this. And you'll know it's ridiculous for you to try to do this. The last 3-4 straight years have been nothing but evidence-free conspiracy theories by every member of the press. Every time they talk about Syria, they're lying. Every time they talk about Iraq, Libya, Venezuela, they're lying. But you're going to start. So now you're going to start selecting tweets. You see how the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and right now you're in hell because you got the president of the United States, and if he wanted to, could break your fucking company up. And I wish he would, but he won't because he's such a corporatist. He won't do it. You're safe. You can fuck with a guy who's.
You know, Jimmy, I'm. Oh, go ahead.
Here, Jack says, fact check. There is someone ultimately accountable for our actions as a company, and that's me. Please leave our employees out of this. We'll continue to point out incorrect or disputed information about elections globally, and we will admit to and own any mistakes we make. How about you stop being the goddamn arbiters of what is fucking real and what's not? And I wish the government would break you up because you won't stop that. And I wish they would open you up to lawsuits like you should be. And I hope this happens. And I hope you immediately start getting sued for publishing false information. How about I can sue you because CNN posted false shit about me on Twitter? Completely bogus and false. So now I can sue you because you published that. And if I can't sue you because you published that, then you shouldn't be allowed to censor anybody. You can't have your cake and eat it too, but they have it right now. Because why? Because the fucking government's owned by corporations and billionaires, not us. That's why they're allowed to do this to us. And because Silicon Valley acts like good little boys and girls, usually of the intelligence community and the establishment. This does not make us an arbiter of truth. Our intention is to correct the dots of conflict. Our intention is to connect the dots of conflicting statements and show the information in dispute so people can judge for themselves. More transparency from us is critical, so folks can clearly see why behind our actions. That's just bullshit. It's all bullshit. No, this does make you the arbiter of truth. And selectively. Unequal enforcement of the law. Selective enforcement of the law. So you are the arbiters of the truth. You are making yourself that, and you are doing it with a special legal protection. The fuck are you talking about? You're not doing, of course you're doing that. And you're doing it with a special carve-out. Not only are you doing it, you have a special carve-out. What's that for then? Per our civic integrity policy, the tweets yesterday may mislead people into thinking they don't need to register to get a ballot. Only registered voters receive ballots. We're updating the link on Donald Trump's tweet to make this more clear. Oh, so you're passing around bullshit information yourselves? While wagging your finger at someone else? You still don't know who the organization New Knowledge is, Twitter. Jack, you still don't know who that is. I watched you go on Joe Rogan. You and your top lawyer had no idea that New Knowledge was a bogus organization spreading falsehoods at the behest of making money off of Russian bots. You had no idea who they were. I did. You could have asked me. You follow me. Maybe you watch some of my videos, and now you know. So here's their civic integrity policy. Holy fuck! Do any of you guys read books? Do any of you read Orwell? Do any of you read Brave New World? Do any of you read anything? Do you actively constructing this dystopian future? You're the ones doing it. The goddamn civic integrity policy. Jesus effing F. Well, I'll just show you some of it. It's long and it's all bullshit. And here's how it starts. You may not use Twitter services for the purpose of manipulating or interfering in elections or other civic processes. What does that mean, interfere? This includes posting or sharing content that may suppress participation or mislead people about when, where, or how to participate in civic. What if I say, hey, you're going to get COVID if you go vote? Can I tweet that? According to this, you can't. Hey, you're gonna die if you go vote. I can't post that. According to this. How about when Tom Perez said you can go vote and it's safe? That was also incorrect. Did you guys put a thing on that? You didn't, did you? Isn't that something? And now when Trump and every other guy on Fox News says this, the social media people are biased to the Democrats and the left, what are you going to say? Hey, this is the part where I tell you where our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then I would tell you to go join our premium, but nobody has a fucking job. So why don't you just enjoy the video?